The more time I spend full driving, camping, the more I love it. Spending the days conquering tracks, adventuring through epic locations, and finding amazing campsites to enjoy. In this episode, we head deep into the Great Dividing Range to explore some of Australia's hidden off-road destinations. Tough tracks, incredible scenery, and some of our hardest river crossings yet. How nice is this spot here? We've got our own little riverfront campsite. Demi and I are away for the June long weekend. We've started off our trip at George's Junction we are on the Macleay River. We got in here about 8 o'clock last night. I didn't do any filming yesterday, and then we got sort of 3 days, I guess, 2 nights to explore this area. Absolutely beautiful weather today. It's amazing, it's so nice. There's our camp there obviously, and then you swing down, you got the big river there. So nice and clear at the moment. Once again, another area that was smashed by those floods a few months ago now. So this whole thing is very different to when we drove down into it last night to what it was when I was here. When was I last here? Last spring. We're just in the process of packing up camp now, and then we're hopefully going to cross the river and follow that track that runs up through the gorge. But I don't know what's happened to it since the floods, or if it's even open. But we'll go investigate anyway. Haven't aired down the tyres yet, so I'll drop a bit of pressure out of them. We're not doing anything too extreme over the next few days, but a fair few river crossings and sort of slow stuff. A fair bit of crawling over river rocks and that. It's just so rough if you leave your tyres up, plus you don't get very much grip. Drop them down to about 18 and that'll help smooth the ride out and give some grip. Good news, the track seems to be all open and clear for driving. So we crossed that river. The river is up a little bit, so it should be some nice deep crossings out here. But across the river at George's Junction, and then you sort of zigzag across it out here into the mountains or whatever. You do have to come back. It's a one-way drive, but it's an amazing drive. We'll head out here for an explore, keen as. Made it out the end. How cool is this? Parked up on the big river. There's massive mountains behind you, so you can't really go further. The track, we sort of came down the edge of the rocks here on the edge of the river, but the track goes over there, down along the edge, and then crosses the river up there. But it comes to a homestead, a big national park homestead. Sometimes the gate's locked before you cross the river, sometimes you can get across. But then once you're across, I don't think you're really meant to be there because it's a big national park homestead that you're meant to pay and get the key to go into. So you come in from down the other side, but you can't actually go back up out the other side because it's gated and locked off. You need the key. So yeah, we sort of come to here and we'll soak it in for a bit and then head back along the track. The river's definitely up a bit at the moment. That's probably the deepest I've done those crossings. They're, top of tire depth, I guess. And there's 2 other cars on the track today. They sort of started back when we did, but they're back at that last crossing. You probably saw them on the camera. They're having a little bit of trouble with one of their cars. It's gone to limp mode. Has a snorkel, but the snorkel obviously wasn't fully sealed because he opened it up and he had a heap of water in the airbox. So I'm not too sure what they're going to do. I said I'd check on them when I came back. They're going to try and dry it out and see how they went. But yeah, you definitely want to make sure your snorkel's fully sealed when you're doing crossings like this. Even though it's not up over your bonnet, once you're sort of up near that top of the tyres, it ends up all splashing up in your engine bay when you're coming across them. And then yeah, you get some in the airbox and then things aren't going too well for you. So cold, but so good. Bloody clouds came over just as we were having a swim as well, just to make it extra cold. That sun's sort of gone at the moment. Alright, we're on our way back out of the track now. The way we went in was actually a bit of a different one, sort of a new one they'd built that we ended up on that cut these couple of crossings now that I've now filmed. This one's actually a little bit of depth there. I nearly got swept off my feet walking it, but it's only short, so if I just power in, I'll come up out the other side. All good. So much fun out here and it's such an amazing place. Probably got a little bit carried away there and went slightly too fast. Came up over the bonnet, but that water is moving very fast, so I sort of try and punch it in a little bit just to avoid that back end getting spun around in that those rapids. Because we've done multiple trips now where river levels are up, and I sort of know that borderline of what makes my car start to float. Because I've had it start to float a couple of times. So I sort of, I know, like once I walk it, I know what's going to happen and what it's capable of doing. And I knew that that would make it. If I went too slow, it may start to grab that back end a bit. Got to walk the camera across all these crossings and driving, but you really need to walk this stuff first anyway, because if you just punch it out there and it happens to be deep or something, then you'll end up in trouble. This, from my memory, has always been the deepest one. So this could be interesting. I'll have to try and find the right line across this. So yeah, this one's definitely borderline. It'll be okay because it's not too long, and it'll sort of, I'm going to aim a bit higher and start a bit higher because I'd say it's going to grab my car slightly. I'm going to put that rear locker in, go second gear, because that deep bit's only sort of a car length long. So if it grabs me a bit, I'll be sort of out by the time it starts dragging me. But yeah, you have to be very careful. You're sitting there like, wow.
I'm like, why are we doing this?
I didn't really move it too much then. I was in and out too quick. I went a bit fast probably, but I didn't want to hang around in that one. That was quite deep. I made it back to George's Junction, just came across the final crossing there, and then the main campground's up the top up there where sort of everyone camps. Quite a few people up there being the long weekend. This wind's sort of whipping along here a little bit. Gonna start heading up the mountain now. It's about 2 o'clock, so gonna head up there and yeah, see what we can find. Maybe try another track I know, find a camp up along the river somewhere. We're on the next track for the weekend now. We're sort of winding our way up into the mountain to this little hidden track I know of in the area that I've done a couple of times in the videos now. It is a little bit hard to find, and it's disused quite a bit as well. I wasn't sure what it'd be like after the floods, but it seems to be all okay so far. Absolutely amazing drive through here though, just beautiful scenery, and you cross the creek so many times. I don't know how many, it's probably like 20 crossings of this little creek. We'll head up along here and find ourselves a camp somewhere for the night. It's about 3 o'clock now. We'll try and find a nice camp spot around 4 or so, I'd say. So many creek crossings out here, too many to film. That spot there is where we camped last time, but won't be doing that again, because when you first pull up you hear the rapids, they're not too bad, but then as the night goes on, then during the night when you're trying to sleep, those rapids become so loud. So we're going to keep going, and there was another spot up here last time we saw, about 20 minutes away, that's a big nice flat area sort of just up on the bank of the creek, and I don't think there was any rapids there. So we'll keep going and hopefully get to that one. Found ourselves a beautiful camp spot here on the edge of the creek. Got a nice little water hole there for a swim in the morning. A little bit of noise here from the rapids, but it shouldn't be too bad. Then we'll be able to pop the tent up there and fire and chairs and sit here and take it all in. You can hear the bellbirds all around as well. I just love this place out here, just out in the middle of nowhere. No one else around, it's amazing. Brought this little table that goes around the fire pit this trip. I haven't brought it recently just because it's an extra thing to carry, but I do really like it. I just forgot the base plate for it, so we had to put a rock under the fire pit to lift it up a bit. But it makes it super handy when you're sitting around the fire, because you can sit all your food around it as you cook and see your drinks and stuff on it. All this setup's from Drifter, so the fire pit and then the table around it and then the chairs, it all works really well. We got 2 bags of firewood on the way out here last night. So we used one last night, and then I got another one for tonight, and I'm sure I'll be able to find some stuff around if need be. What an absolutely amazing place to wake up here. That sun's sort of shining down through the trees. We got that big swimming hole there on the creek. Got the fire going. Gonna cook some pancakes for breakfast this morning. Demi's filming a behind the scenes video today of like a day in the life, filming a full driving camping video, I guess you'd call it. So if you see her behind me filming, that's what she's doing. A couple of times lately people have brought up to me about camping on creek beds, and you shouldn't do it, because we do it a little bit. We've never had a problem with it. We're obviously smart about it. We check the weather forecast in the area before we come, providing it's relatively fine sunny weather. You know, if it was out here storming and pouring rain, I wouldn't be doing it. And these areas where we are normally have small catchment areas. So if it's not raining within, you know, a 20-30 kilometre radius, you know you're going to be fine. It's not like it can rain hundreds of kilometres away and then flood this river. But yeah, you do have to be careful with it, but you know, just sort of be safe and smart about it. We've never had an issue with it. I cook a bit of pancakes here in the sun by the creek next to the fire. I swear wherever you set up, the fire always follows you. Does anyone else always have that problem? Wherever I go, so if it's smoking here, I'll go over there and the next minute it'll be smoking over there. You just can't win. For the pancakes, can you see that in there? That looks disgusting. But I did 2 bananas.
Can you see that in there?
It looks disgusting. Well, it does. Looks like mush. But for the pancakes, did 2 bananas, 2 eggs. Mix it all around. Put some cinnamon in there. I don't know. Just put a heap in and hope for the best. Teaspoon worth, I guess. Some flour. I normally use normal flour and baking powder, but I got just self-raising flour instead. I assume that'll work. 1.5 cups of self-raising flour. Now after that, you basically just add milk until it's the right consistency, nice and simple. And a little bit of salt. I don't know what salt does, but Demi said it brings out the flavour. You just made that up. Well, I don't know what it does either, but I think it does something. There was a little bit of wind when we first got up, but it seems to have dropped off now. That sun's coming down in here, warming us up. Absolutely magical place. So many bellbirds around here as well, been listening to them the whole morning. Finished up brekkie. Those pancakes are so good. Going to pack up camp now, have a swim, and then we're going to continue making our way out of this track. We're very slow to get going this morning. It's after 11 now, but we're all ready to go. We're going to continue along this track. Also, I did say it before, but for example, when I was packing up camp and Demi was nowhere to be seen, it's because she's filming everything from behind the scenes today, so that's where she's always disappearing to. I've got to walk the camera across all these crossings. My feet are just about frozen off, but what an amazing day it is out here. So nice. Haven't seen anyone else. We passed a couple of cars yesterday, Arvo, out here. With these sorts of places, you just got to remember, like, before those vehicles passed us when we were at camp, there was no vehicle tracks in front of us. So no one had been on this track for weeks. So you are sort of quite remote out here, I guess. There's no reception. It's a long walk up the mountain if something goes wrong, so you need to be a bit wary of that, and then pretty self-sufficient, I guess, and self-prepared. I think from camp we had about 10 to 12 crossings to do to the end of the track, so we're just winding our way along it, enjoying all the scenery. This is a bit of an interesting section here. Looks like it's been a bit destroyed in the floods. Kind of got to drive up the rapids a bit, then up a steep bank. So I don't know It could be interesting getting up, so it's hard to tell how much the car's going to bury in on it. Swing around wide, put this locker in.
Oh, friggin'.
Hold on. Oh, we're up. Whew. That was a bit of a get the heart rate going. What?
Oh,
What's so funny about that?
Your face was like, get the heart rate going.
Some decent underbody protection is definitely helpful / recommended on this track, because you're smashing boulders underneath through so many of these crossings, because it's like disused. It's not really properly set up road or crossing, it's just rocks and boulders all over the place you're constantly banging into. Made it through to the end of the track. There's a awesome big swimming hole when you arrive here as well. I'm not sure what we're going to do yet now. Is that how you say it? Don't know. Not sure what we're going to do yet, so we'll probably chill here for a bit, and then the track heads up the hill up there, up to the top of the mountain. So we'll head up there somewhere and do some exploring and probably camp up there tonight. Depending if you watch all my videos or not, you would have seen on maybe the last episode or a recent one anyway, I snapped a winch rope on a local trip. Snapped my Ironman winch rope, but this week, so that was last weekend, then during the week, this week I sorted out a new one, so the winch is all working, ready to go. I got a rope from Drifter. They're good there because they can just cut you one to length, whatever length you want, have it at either end how you want, like whether you want a knot at the end or just flat rope at the end, and whatever strength you want. So it's just a 20 meter 9.5 ton in a red rope, which looks cool. And then I just put my Factor 55 flat link hook back on it as well. So yeah, the winch is all working, ready to go, hopefully anyway, if I need it. Starting to cool down a bit. What is it now? Probably 3:34. There's that sun out there. Beautiful afternoon out here at the bush. So nice. Sort of missed. Haven't filmed anything for the last couple of hours. We drove up out of there and sort of drove through the roads a bit. Stopped and chilled and had a lunch for a while. Just sort of taking it in, I guess. Now we're further up the mountain. We're up in Styx River. We're on Boundary Trail. Going to drive this fun little track, and then we're going to try and find somewhere to set up camp for the night. Fair few mud holes on this one. The sort of tracks around the worst ones, so you can get around them, and then there's a few hill climbs up here further on. Alright, here begins these hill climbs up out of here. This is actually a bit of a bad section here. There is a track around it, but that'd be silly to do that. Have fun on the main one. We're up off that hill now, sort of making the final drive down to where we're going to camp, hopefully, but I'm not sure if it might be busy down there, so if it is, we may just bail and go find a bush spot somewhere. This sun's beautiful as it's coming down through all these trees on the way to camp. Made it down to our camp area. Unfortunately, the spot I wanted, which is down that track and over there, is taken. So we're going to check up over the other side. There's some more, but to get there, you got which option of death do you want? I'll just go the easiest one and try and roar up that. I think we found a nice camp spot just down there. We just sort of drove up the hill here into there's a little track, and we might collect some firewood here because I don't have any. Stay nice and warm tonight. Alright, we're finally back down to our camp. It's starting to get a little bit dark now, but we still got some light. You can see the Styx River out behind me there, just up on a little hill kind of thing looking over the river. It's a pretty nice spot. Starting to cool down. Going to set up and get this fire going and get nice and warm. I really need to get some proper camp lights soon. Maybe like in my canopy or something. That's one modification I haven't done. The two lights I'm using at the moment are two handheld spotlights just sitting on the car to light up the area. Anyways, Demi's cooking some dinner now. Cooking laksa soup because it is freezing. And apparently it takes 10 minutes or so. So quick and easy dinner and nice and warm.
Oh, dude, you pushed me out of way again.
Sorry.
I swear to God, I'm gonna push you out of the car when you're driving. Rudest person. Oh no! That looks like 1.5 cups.
Well, I don't know. I do have a cup measurement, you know. We don't really know what we're doing, to be honest, just kind of making it up, but so far we got tofu, some laksa paste. We just guessed how much vegetable stock tips I'm in.
We.
Well, yeah, you. And now what? And now tip some coconut milk in. I don't know how well this is going to go, but...
Oh, shut up. You would never say that if you were cooking.
I always say just add a heap of crap in and hope for the best. That's what I always do. I don't really follow recipes. Like you know, like we're like, yeah, we'll make laksa soup, and then there's a recipe, and then about one step in, you're just like, nah, I'll be right, and just start throwing things in.
I got over the recipe.
That's what I do, like every recipe.
Like, I got the ingredients it says, now I'm good. Now I'll just make it up.
Yeah. Tastes good?
Actually tastes real good.
There it is, ready. Got the noodles down the bottom, the sauce and tofu and beans and a bit of chili, bean sprouts on top. Sit by the fire and enjoy it. Another beautiful morning out here in the bush. Today is our last day, so we're just gonna take it easy at camp this morning, and then we'll sort of, I don't know what direction we're gonna head out of here yet, but we'll maybe wind our way out the other way, back up onto the main road and then head home. You can actually see the place a bit better now in the daylight, but there's the Styx River flowing down there, if you can see that, just up on a little hill here, and we got a nice big sort of grassy area in the trees. Got this fire going to stay warm. It's quite cold out here in winter time. Packed up camp. We just popped down to this other spot. This is the one we wanted to camp at last night, but unfortunately it was taken. Beautiful spot here next to this big swimming hole, sort of underneath the cliffs, and you got a little creek flowing into it there. We're gonna have a swim here before we start making the drive back home. Alright, I'll finish up the video there. We're on our way home. We came from the Styx River up that way, and we're heading back down towards George's Junction. Then from there we're heading to Kempsey and home. There's a little sidetrack on this road on the way out that takes you up this little peak, and then absolutely amazing views out over the whole mountain range behind you there. So sort of sitting here soaking this in. If you want to support the channel, you can over at patreon.com/Tyler Thompson. We've got the website as well, which is tylerthompson.com.au. We've got shirts, hoodies, magnets, stickers, stomachals, bags.
What else?
Don't know, that's it. But yeah, that's it. Done. Video over. How nice is this spot? That's all I got.
How nice is this spot?
How nice is this spot here? We've got our own private little riverfront campsite. How nice is this spot here? We've got our own little riverfront campsite. Stop it! How nice is this spot where you got our own little riverside, wow. Because the tyres are cold, I haven't driven. Alright, is the sound on? Yep. Wait for this breeze. Woken up to a beautiful sunny morning here out in the bush. There's a little bit of wind around, but it seems to be dying down here and there. So, what the hell was that? What am I, the weatherman? We don't need a daily weather report. You know when people do small talk and the first thing they talk about is the weather? Because that's me trying to film, I'll just talk about the weather. Base plate for it, which lifts the fire pit up a bit, so then you can, then it's down below. I haven't used this for a while just because it's an extra thing to carry, but I really like this table around the fire pit. So good for when you're cooking. We're going to cook up a nice
What are you choosing? We made it, guys. I'm just having a look out and it's pretty awesome.
Let me know when you're done.
It's insane.
If you want to follow along the if you want to follow along the adventures. 3, 2, 1, go!
Jesus. I'm famous, Tyler Thompson. Everyone, talk to me. It takes 60 years to get anywhere. Yeah, I'm pretty famous. Yeah.